Hello, everyone, and welcome to Experience the Power of Sacred Geometry. My name is Sabine Kruse, and we'll be talking about sacred geometry and, more importantly, experiencing sacred geometry for about an hour now. So, warm welcome, everybody. And I'd like to start by asking you a question. What is sacred geometry? What does it mean to you? And if you want, you can post some of your answers in the chat. But I would really like you to feel into it and see what comes up when you hear the words sacred geometry. So, universal truths. Yes, definitely. Let's have a look at it then. So sometimes I'll be sharing my screen just to show you some pictures. And here's the first one of many ancient depictions of the flower of life all over the world. So this is a picture by the International Space Federation, and you can see that there are ancient depictions of the flower of life in many countries. I mean, the most obvious ones are probably China and Egypt, but you find it also in Greece, in Turkey, in Germany, in Scotland, and in many other places. Why? Because the flower of life encodes the structure of the very fabric of our reality. It's the underlying pattern of the universe. And also, if you look at architecture, for example, here I live in southern Spain, in Granada. There's the Alhambra Palace. And there you can find all kinds of stars, 8-pointed stars in general, but also 16-pointed stars, 10-pointed stars, 5-pointed stars, tree of life depictions. So there's something about this, because if you go into the Alhambra, you can immediately feel the beauty in the frequencies when you see like many 8-pointed stars on the ceiling, the wood, on the pavement. So I'd like to ask again, what is sacred geometry? And these are one of the topics we will be looking into. So I'll just give you a quick overview of what we'll be talking about and looking into today. And the first one is, what is sacred geometry? But also, what are examples of sacred geometry shapes and forms? Then next, what is the purpose of sacred geometry? And how can you actually use it? And we'll have a couple of practices so that you get to experience it. And there will be time for feedback and questions, so during midway of the presentation and towards the end. And at the very end, we'll have like a beautiful activation meditation of the blueprint for health and well-being. That's the one you can see here in the background. And it's one of my latest designs. It comes with frequencies that support you with health and well-being. So we'll do that at the end. So stay till the end. I think that's really going to be a more profound experience. Yeah. So when we ask the question, exactly, you answered some of the question, what is sacred geometry? Yeah, symbols that support our spiritual growth. Yes. Musical language of the universe. Yes. Ancient information. Yes. And that what it all is built out of, the fabric of life. Exactly. Exactly. And so you can say the whole universe is built on sacred geometry. So we will look at examples from nature, from the cosmos, and even from our own human body. And also, it's geometry are two Greek words, and they mean measuring earth. And the sacred part is that it's an all-encompassing, all-inclusive geometry that follows divine proportions and directions. And we'll quickly look at that as well. It involves some mathematics, but not too much. And it actually structures infinity. So if infinity can be seen as waves, as energy, it structures it and gives it a coherent and harmonious form. And it's the universal language of all life. Now let me share with you some examples. So here you can see some examples of sacred geometry. The Nautilus shell, the Romanesco, the sunflower. What you can see in all these examples is a kind of a spiral, the golden ratio spiral. So you find it definitely, as you can see here, in nature. But interestingly enough, you can also find it in the cosmos. To the right-hand side, you can see a galaxy, or in the air, it's a hurricane pattern that you see in the left side. Okay, so what is a golden ratio or golden ratio spiral? So the golden ratio phi, to the Greek letter phi, is actually a mathematical ratio that defines true beauty. And the mathematical ratio is if you have a line and there is a longer segment A and a shorter segment B, and if you divide A divided by B, if that is equal to both A plus B divided by the longer segment A, if that comes up with an infinite number of 1.61803 and it continues, then this proportion defines true beauty. It's a certain mathematical ratio that defines true beauty. And this golden ratio phi equals 1.61803 is based on a sequence of numbers. And this sequence of numbers is called the Fibonacci sequence. And it's the underlying principle of the golden ratio. So basically, it starts with a zero point, then one, and then you always add up the two numbers to get to the next number. So 1 plus 1 is 1. Then you continue. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 8 is 13. And so on and so forth. And so you get this certain sequence. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144, and it continues. So basically, it's an infinite sequence where the past number added to the present number gives the future number. So it's a kind of a metaphor for evolution. And if you look at two adjacent numbers, like for example, 5 divided by 3 or 8 divided by 5, this relationship gives you approximately the golden ratio of phi equals 1.61803. So it's basically from the 0 point, the organic expansion of the universe, of nature, that is inherent in these numbers. So if we go back to this graph, you can see that the numbers are in here. So I've depicted squares with the length of the Fibonacci sequence number starting 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and so on. And if you then draw like curves from one edge of the square to the next one and combine them, you get a certain kind of spiral. And this particular spiral is called the golden ratio spiral. And that's the one that you see in nature, in the cosmos, and also in the human body. And you can see it in arts, in good arts. So basically, like famous painters, such as Leonardo da Vinci, Andrea Botticelli, they have actually structured their paintings with the help of the golden ratio, with the help of the proportion 1 to 1.61018. And you can see a lot of golden ratio spirals here in these two paintings. And so basically, the whole painting has been composed according to the golden ratio spiral. You can also see the Fibonacci sequence numbers in the spirals here of the pine cone. There are 8 rotating in one direction and 13 rotating in the other direction. And you can also find the golden ratio spiral again in the petals of a rose. And that's the beauty of it. Like if you really know about this and you go out into nature, you will find many examples. If you look at the flowers, you'll see that many of them show sacred geometry, shapes and forms, and very often as well the golden ratio. But now let's look at our own body. And I'd really like you to check it out later. If you look at the ratio of your forearm divided, so the length of your forearm divided by the length of your hand, you will see that you more or less, I mean, we're not completely symmetrical, but more or less you will come up with 1.618 again. And the same applies if the ratio of your shin to your foot, or if you look at your whole body, the ratio from foot to navel and navel to crown. And you will find also like spirals, like for example, in your inner ear. And if you really go into the anatomy of the human body, you will even find more examples, especially here, like for example, in the face, as you can see here in the picture, there are a lot of golden ratio spirals in a harmonious face. I mean, in a face that is called beautiful as well, no? So basically, that's why certain body proportions or certain faces are considered more beautiful than others, because they follow this divine proportion of the golden ratio. But don't worry if you're not completely perfect. That's okay. That's how we are. And there's also an important number, pi, which is 3.14. This is an important number in sacred geometry because it comes with the mathematics of circles, spheres, and spirals. They all contain pi. And circles and spheres are really important sacred geometries because they represent many things, but for me, they also carry the frequency of creation, while at the same time, the nothingness, the void at the origin of creation. So it's both. It's where everything starts from, and then the creation as a whole. Whereas the spiral represents evolution. Basically, you go up an evolutionary spiral and you revisit topics, but from a higher perspective. And then there's one of you mentioned it before, the musical element in geometry. And there's a science called cymatics, where you actually see the geometry of sound. The 2 photos you see here from the science photo library are the sounds, the geometric patterns of a sound the humpback whale makes, or on the right-hand side, the orca whale makes. So basically, there are methods to actually turn sounds into geometries. And as you can see here with the two examples of the whales, the geometric patterns are really beautiful. They're harmonious, they're coherent. So the whales actually infuse through their tones these harmonious frequencies and vibrations into the waters. Yeah, let's come back here for a moment. And I would like to show you some other examples of sacred geometry shapes and forms, because there are many, and you might know a couple of them. Maybe if you want to share a few sacred geometry shapes and forms, we've talked about spheres, for example, and the flower of life. Just share them in the chat, and I will just show you a few. I mean, we've talked about the sphere. One that is very known as well is the cube. And I guess many of you know pyramids as well. And what else have we got? Here I'm wearing Metatron's cube. We've got the feminine version of a pyramid, a cone. And there are spirals. And of course, the platonic solids. I've got some here, but I'll show you. It's easier if I show you later on screen. We've got the Merkaba, two interlocking tetrahedrons. Yeah. So let me share with you. So yeah, exactly. So examples of sacred geometry shapes and forms, of course, the flower of life. On the right-hand side, there's my own photo from Egypt. I loved seeing the flower of life in Abydos. Here we've got the sphere, the Merkaba, the cube, the pyramids, the spiral staircase. Here, these are the five platonic solids. So we've got the cube again, the icosahedron, the tetrahedron, the octahedron, and the dodecahedron. And they're all related also to the five elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And each of these sacred geometries carry their own specific energies and frequencies with them. And here we've got Metatron's cube. Metatron's cube combines all these five platonic solids, and also here, as you can see, with the two triangles in a three-dimensional way, it's a Merkaba. And these are very powerful forms you can work with. And each, as I said, like carries their own frequency and vibration. And then we have stars. And you can find even those starry patterns in nature, in flowers, also in fruits and vegetables. Here we've got the five-pointed star, which is for me like carries the frequency of your essence. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 eight and a half pointed stars, the anise seed. And here, for example, if you open up oranges or other fruits, you will often find starry patterns as well. So it really, I invite you to just look at your food and and your flowers from that perspective. What kind of frequencies and vibrations expressed through sacred geometry, shapes and forms can you find in them? And then, of course, in architecture, again here, the Alhambra, but also the Real Alcázar in Sevilla. There are many stars, 16-point star, 8-pointed star, 10-pointed star patterns. And they are often depicted in a fractal pattern. Fractal pattern means you've got the original, say, 8-pointed star, and then you've got other 8-pointed stars that are similar but different in size, for example, or not completely the same, but they repeat the pattern in a similar way. Or here, for example, you've got in the right photo, you've got two 5-pointed stars forming a 10-pointed star, but then later here you've got 5-pointed stars to the left as well. And what is a beautiful 5-pointed star pattern in a more feminine way is here, as you can see, the dance of Venus with Earth. It comes up, or it actually creates a beautiful flowery 5-pointed star. When Venus travels, well, not travels, but when Venus draws a 5-pointed star around the Earth every 8 Earth years, and they are approximately equal to 13 Venus years. And we've got the Fibonacci numbers again as well, 5, 8, and 13. And this is from John Martineau, a little book of coincidence. So there's a lot to find in the cosmos as well, if you really go into it. Yep. We come back. And so if you know what kind of frequencies and vibrations are in different sacred geometry shapes and forms, then you can actually concoct your own kind of meal, your own kind of design. And that's what I've been doing, for example, here with these sacred geometries. Here you can see, and I can go more into detail, giving you an example. So there are basically certain shapes and forms here in each of the symbols. Here you can see, for example, the sphere in the background, the unbounded flower of life. You've got the tetrahedrons, the icosahedron, a cube, pyramid consciousness. So basically, what I do is I use the sacred geometry shapes and forms plus colors, because they carry certain codes as well, plus numbers, because they have certain frequencies as well, and put them together in a kind of design to express and bring about certain frequencies. And I would like to show you settings. Another one. For example, this is the blueprint for love and relationships. So it's got very different energy, and that is because of the ingredients of the design itself. Yeah, so I would like to just pause for a while and ask if you have any questions or comments so far. Then you can post them in the chat if you like. And while
Sabine,
you
do
do,
you want the question verbally or should I post in the chat?
oh, if you like to talk, yeah. I mean, you can ask them verbally as well if you like.
This is wonderful. So, with this in particular, but tell us about the colors that you have, how the colors in your creations help us work through because they're just so dynamic and they feel extra special aside from the shapes themselves, is the coloring.
Yes. So we can take, for example, this example here in the background, the blueprint for love and relationships. So you can see that there's a lot of pink in it. Pink for me, I mean, it depends also a bit on your own experience and interpretation. But for me, for example, pink is the color for compassion and compassionate love, heart chakra energy, but especially compassion. Whereas green, for example, you can see the green seeds of life here in the background, is for me nature, being natural, being in harmony, in balance. And the gold, here you've got this golden sphere that contains this symbol, is divinity, is your essence. And blue, in this type of blue, I would say, is more for intuition and for harmonizing energies. I mean, there are different types of blues, but I would say it's that type of blue. And red, this is a ruby red, but this is especially also, I'm working also with rays of creation, and the ruby red for me is the ruby ray carries the frequency of like divine relationships. And so, yeah, this is how I work with colors that, I mean, some colors have the same meaning for most people. Sometimes there are, of course, differences and nuances, but this is how I use them, by feeling into them, but also using like general interpretations of the codes of the colors. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Heather?
Yes, thank you very much.
Welcome. Um, yeah, anybody else? I mean, if you have questions, you can write them in the chat, or you can talk, or if you have comments. If not, you might ask, why am I sharing something about sacred geometry to begin with? So it's so I was born in Germany and grew up there. And for like, even when I was still a child, I had this desire to see beautiful, abundant, free, and yeah, and peaceful world. And that's also why I studied economics in London, because I really wanted to contribute to abundance for everybody on all levels. And I worked in the field of development cooperation for many years in Africa, Latin America. But I realized that you cannot really make things happen in the outside world. That it's really be the change you wish to see in the world, was really my experience as well. And so I went on an inner journey to know myself, basically. Did many workshops and programs, meditations, until one day I started connecting to other realms. Well, I started connecting to other realms before, but when I connected to other realms, I received in meditations information about sacred geometry. And at that time, I didn't really know much about sacred geometry at all. But I was being shown how each sacred geometry shape and form, so we started with the platonic solids, has their own kind of frequency and vibration and energy that it brings into the world, and how you can actually work with it energetically. Mm. And so more and more, I started recording all the information I received, and I experimented with others, with myself. And so that was back in 2015, until I finally saw that there was so much information in it that I'd received from something that was far beyond my mind, because my mind had not stored that information before. And so I started writing a book, and I published it in 2023 as well, which is called Activate Your Highest Potential with Sacred Geometry. I actually have it here. A practical guide to freedom, authenticity, and fulfillment. And yeah, and I started doing these sacred geometry designs, offering webinars, coaching with it as well. So it was really something that came to me, even though before I did not have much connection to it. Um, and and I dove really in and dove deeper, and that's why I can actually share it with you today, because I'm just, sharing what has been given to me in meditations and revelations. And then, of course, I started looking up a few things as well and reading books and so. But the original process was getting the information through intuition, through telepathy from other realms. Yeah, so if there are no further question, I would like to continue with a question. What purpose does sacred geometry serve? And we talked about the Platonic solids before, and the Greek philosopher Plato actually said geometry will draw the soul towards truth. And it's you can also see it as let me just bring something up here. You can see it also um, as a specific frequency that you pick up and resonate with. It's like an antenna picking up a signal, and your body contains this frequency, like as we talked about, like, for example, the golden ratio, and your soul resonates with it. And it really helps us remember who we are and where we have come from, the origin, our divine nature. And you can use sacred geometry as a tool to raise your frequency and your consciousness. And I would like to quote Nikola Tesla, who was an inventor and engineer in the late 19th, early 20th century. And he said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, the waves that then can come into matter. And if you look at our life or our experience as an iceberg, I mean, they're on top of the water, what you can actually see at the surface are the conscious programs, beliefs, emotions that you're consciously aware of. But a lot is underneath the water, or what's underneath the surface, it's in the water. These are the subconscious programs and beliefs and the suppressed emotions, and they shape our lives. And the good thing about sacred geometry is that the frequency of information of sacred geometry that it contains in the shapes and forms that also colors contain, as we talked about before, or numbers, is directly absorbed by our subconscious minds without being filtered by the brain. Because sometimes if for example, if you do a mantra every day, it's like, for example, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant. But if your subconscious has a belief, I'm not abundant, then it won't land. But with sacred geometry, if you have the frequency of abundance, it lands directly in your subconscious because it's what you're made of. I mean, it's your original nature. And sacred geometry transforms that which is not authentically us, the programs, the beliefs, and the suppressed emotions. And it takes us back to our true divine nature, free of conditioning and programming. And that's so beautiful about sacred geometry. So you cannot block it with your mind. That's what I'm trying to say. And the benefits of using sacred geometry is, for example, that they activate your creative abilities and talents. You can unravel stuck energies and clear limiting patterns and beliefs. It helps you restore and increase your vitality and well-being. And we'll just experience that with the blueprint for health and well-being. It gives you also clarity and focus, especially like, for example, Metatron's cube and the octahedron are good for that. Emotional balance, that's the icosahedron, for example, and amazing relationships, first and foremost with yourself and then with others. And it really allows the emergence of your true self. So the essence, the truth of who you are. And certain shapes and forms, they have certain frequencies, and these certain frequencies facilitate specific energy changes. And I'd like to show you and have you experience a very simple tool. I call it the 0 point connection tool. And it helps you to have access to your essence, to your soul, or to your quantum field, to source from any place and at any time. And let's just have a 1 to 2 minute experience. So the 0 point is here at the center of your heart chakra, the center of the chest. And it can be considered the access point to the soul, to the quantum field, your connection to source. And when you really focus on it and you breathe into it, it really helps you to become more neutral, and it activates your intuition and the communication with realms beyond our human experience. And you can do it in an instant at any time with the practice I'm going to show you now. Why does it work? Because where attention goes, if you really focus on something and you're really in that experience, the energy follows. So I invite you just to take a few deep breaths and close your eyes. And just imagine, if you are still with your attention in your mind, just imagine that you are descending a golden spiral staircase from your rational mind to the center of your heart chakra. And focus on the location of your 0 point in the middle of your heart chakra. And say or think, I set the intention to connect with my 0 point. I set the intention to connect with my 0 point. And breathe into it. If you stay focused on your 0 point, and you set the intention to stay there and breathe into it, can you feel the connection with your soul and the universe? So I give that question back to you. Did you experience anything? I feel calm and relaxed. Yes, that's usually also my experience, that if I just do it quickly, I feel instantly calm and relaxed. And also, if you stay focused on it for a longer period of time, you may open up to other experiences as well. But we'll use that 0 point connection tool also for the practice I want to share with you today now. And it's also a short practice. It's one of the practices from my book, and it's about energetically stepping into pyramid, a golden pyramid. So this is only, well, it's not really golden, but just to show you the shape of a pyramid again. And Let's see. And we always, the pyramid in general is helpful for storing energy and generating energy and amplifying energy and raising energy levels and frequency levels. But let's see what kind of experience you have with this practice, because that it might also, instead of raising your energy levels, let's see what wants to unfold for you. So I invite you, like, as we've just done, go into your 0 point. So focus your attention on your 0 point in the middle of your heart chakra, in the middle of your chest. Really focus on it and breathe into it. And close your eyes. For anyone who's still in their minds, you can actually again imagine that you're going down a golden spiral staircase from your mind, from your head to the center of your chest, to your 0 point, and land there. And now, with closed eyes, see, sense, or feel a huge golden pyramid in front of you. And there is a gate in the pyramid. And just imagine that you're stepping into the pyramid center through that gate that is opening up in front of you. And relax into the pyramid's golden frequency. Now invite the pyramid's golden energy to flow into every cell of your body with the intention of increasing your energy levels and the frequency and vibration of your energetic system. So you say or think, I really set the intention to invite the pyramid's golden energy to flow into every cell of my body with the intention of increasing my energy levels, increasing my frequency and my vibration in my energetic system. And now you simply sit back and you breathe into the process. You relax. You imagine that the pyramid's golden frequency flows into every cell of your body. You might see it, you might sense it, or you might feel it. This flow of golden energy into your body and energetic system while you're in the golden pyramid. So you just breathe into it. And now just notice how you feel. What has changed? Anyone wants to share? I feel like I have access to more of a higher vision. Beautiful. So basically, your energy field is opening up and higher vision, higher frequency, higher vibration. That's definitely something I've come across as well with the pyramid, that you increase those possibilities for yourself. Mm-hmm. It felt like I was in a sacred place, like a library of records, maybe in Egypt. Yes, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Feels deeply safe. Yes, yes. Raising the vibration. Mm-hmm, exactly. That's what I usually experience as well, a raise in the vibration and in the energy. But sometimes depending also like how tired you are. So you could actually also feel more relaxed, um, and more, yeah, more safe and helped by this practice. Great, yeah. So thank you for your feedback. And here I've just opened up another sacred geometry design. This is called Abundance on All Levels. It's got the dodecahedron in the center for universal love and grace, and the fractal stars of seven-pointed stars for being natural. And yeah, so now I would like to share with you how you can actually use sacred geometry. And let me share screen. So you can actually create your own sacred geometry. For example, here with blueberries, a seven-pointed star, or the infinity symbol. It's a very powerful symbol as well, with little pebbles. There are crop circles as well in the form of, in this case, eight-pointed star. And I'd like to talk about the bees as well. The bees, in their honeycombs, they produce these hexagonal shapes. And they are the most efficient form if you want to fill a plane with shapes one after the other. The hexagonal shape is the most efficient form because it doesn't leave any waste. And so the bees know that. And so they create these beautiful hexagonal forms. And in a three-dimensional perspective, they look like cubes. Um, then, of course, you can use it in architecture, in your garden. You will find, like here in the papaya, there is a pentagon, one of the elements of the dodecahedron. You've got spheres, you've got stars, and you can, of course, create your own ones here, or the figures is in form of a heart. The apple has got a toroidal field inside. So basically, you'll find it everywhere in nature, and you eat it as well. So, yeah, so you can create sacred geometry objects. You can place your water and food on sacred geometry symbols. You can use sacred geometry in architecture, in art, in music, in gardening. And you can use sacred geometry in designs for clothing, table sets, accessories, games. And this is the way you just experienced in a practice. You can step into a sacred geometry shape or form physically, or what we did energetically, we stepped into the pyramid, and you just activate the form and let its energies work on you. And since the energy follows intention, your intention and your attention, then you will actually feel, see, sense, or see results. So you can either step into it physically or energetically, or you can invite a shape or form into your energy system just by setting the intention. So I set the intention, for example, to invite a golden pyramid into my energy system, no? And then you let it activate itself. And we'll do that just with a blueprint later, and let it rotate within, around, and through you while sharing its frequencies. So that's how I work with sacred geometry energetically. Then, of course, you can meditate with it, you can embody it, you can form your own five-pointed star, for example, with your body. You can come up, here's, for example, a dodecahedron template. You can create your own. You can make designs. This is in videos, like this is, for example, a torus. Or designs like the one on the right, that's the homoluminous symbol. That's basically what our bodies are moving into the luminous being that we are, the more crystalline structure of our body that we are becoming and moving into. And so this is a representation of that. Yeah, just stop the share. My recommendation with all of this when you work with sacred geometry is create an intuitive access to sacred geometry. Like feel it and do not only think it. Of course, the mathematics and the concepts behind it is all very interesting, but if you really want to have that impact as well on you, create an experience, a sacred geometry experience, an intuitive access. And like my book actually focuses on practical applications of sacred geometry. And use sacred geometry from the heart for the highest and best good of all, in purity and well intended. And of course, you can also combine sacred geometry with other frequencies. We talked here about the geometric shapes and forms. We also talked about colors and combinations of colors, light codes. But you can also combine it, of course, with acoustic codes like sound, language, toning. You can use certain numbers, so numeric codes, and you can combine it with movements and rotations, particularly in combination with like stepping into a form or inviting it in. You can combine it with body movements and hand gestures like mudras. So use all kinds of combinations to enhance the effects. And just before we go into the last sacred geometry activation, I just want to share with you. So if you're interested to dive deeper into the world of sacred geometry and into frequencies and vibrations, so you will find many examples of practices, but also an introduction to sacred geometry and an overview of it and of all the energetic qualities and utilizations of foundational sacred geometry shapes and forms, 18 foundational ones, the stars, the Ankh, and ways to use sacred geometry in my book. And there are many images and symbols as well, and many practices. And so this is available in English and Spanish in paperback, ebook, in the UK, Australia, and the US also as a hardcover version. You can get it on Amazon or in the UK, Australia, and the US also via bookstores who can actually order it from Ingram Spark. And yeah, so it's really an easy to use guide as well, and it gives you also background information. So basically, it's simple, it's multidimensional, it's informative, and it's practical. And it's called Activate Your Highest Potential with Sacred Geometry, a practical guide to freedom, authenticity, and fulfillment. And the interesting thing is, like, at the moment, I'm already writing my second book, which is all about feminine sacred geometry shapes and forms and the return of pi, the circles, the spirals, the spheres. And it's really interesting how I'm usually go through the process first before I can actually finish writing the book and publish it. So I'm actually at the moment in the process of embodying my highest potential with sacred geometry. Um, yeah, and how can I support you? I also offer a one-on-one coaching. I'm certified as a life coach and business coach and an energetic coach. And so my approach is empowering. So really, it's all about you. It's solution oriented and holistic. And the idea is really because I have many tools I can use. I don't I sometimes use sacred geometry, but more often than not, I use other tools depending on your needs. And like for example, coaching sessions I've done so far have been like a support with a career change or overcoming a midlife crisis or resolving repeating relationship patterns, becoming aware of them and getting out of them, clarity about one's calling, where do I want to go, what's calling me. And of course, my main subject and my favorite subject is remembering your true self, taking you home to yourself. And these coachings can be in English, German, Spanish, and French, but that's a bit rusty at the moment. Mainly English, German, and Spanish. And I also do sacred geometry designs. I've just uploaded this new blueprint series with 4 designs and short meditations to guide you into the frequencies on the 4 areas of life and living of health and well-being, prosperity and abundance, love and relationships, and career and calling. And I also do tailor-made personal sacred geometry designs for whatever topic or intention you have. Sometimes I organize webinars as well. Last year, I did a series with Sacred Geometries of the Month that are also available on my website. And you will find on my website lots of free information, YouTube tutorials. There's a beautiful one, practice with the infinity symbol, where you step out of the old and into the new. And you can sign up for my free newsletter as well on my website. And my idea is to post this video as well on my YouTube channel, through my website as well. And if you want anything, sacred geometry design, a webinar, a coaching, I'll offer you a 10% discount. And that's valid till my birthday on the 20th of October. So valid for a month. And the discount code, which you put in, is FRIEND. FRIEND. It's for everything except for my book because I don't actually sell it directly. It goes via Amazon and Ingram Spark. And if you're not sure and you want to test if a coaching or a personal sacred geometry design is for you, I offer free 30-minute discovery sessions to find out whether you want to get a coaching with me or personal sacred geometry design. And so right now, I just say, before we go into the last activation, thank you. And just want to open it also for any questions or feedback you might have. Let me quickly share the screen. I mean, here you can find the information of my website, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, my email address. So yeah, you can contact me in many ways. And so, do you have any questions, any feedback before we actually start with the activation of the blueprint for health and well-being? If so, you can just post them in the chat. Oh, thank you, Andrea. I love your first book and I can't wait to read the next one. I can't either, to be honest. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know when it's going to be out, but it's a wonderful process. Okay, let me so okay. If there's nothing else, I would start with a final activation. I'll show you the blueprint again. So this is the blueprint for health and well-being. So that you can see it, it contains frequencies of regeneration, vitality, flow, nature being natural, and a kind of harmony and balance as well. And this comes through certain forms. Like, for example, the seven-pointed star is all about being natural, but also colors, like green is color of nature and harmony and balance, and certain numbers that are in there as well. Icosahedron is for flow, and then you've got also the watercolor. But I will guide you into an experience also of these individual frequencies. I just want you to have a look at it before we go into the activation. Okay, so, and I've chosen this symbol out of all the symbols because our bodies are going through a lot of change at the moment. So there are solar flares, eclipse season, and so on. And friends who've used that symbol already, they've felt calmer or they slept better after using it. So, because these frequencies are soothing and harmonizing. And I think that's what we can all need at what we all need at the moment. Okay, so let's experience the blueprint for health and well-being. Make yourself comfortable. As we've done before, focus on your 0 point in the middle of your heart chakra, in the middle of your chest. And take a few deep breaths into your 0 point in the middle of your heart chakra. And take your time to really land your awareness in your heart chakra. And then simply by setting this intention, connect to the earth below you and to the cosmos above you, breathing their energies into your body and energy field. Take a moment to connect to your physical body, thanking it for all it has done for you. And also connect to your essence, to your soul, to the creator within you. And breathe into your body and energy system. Now set the intention to connect to the blueprint for health and well-being symbol. So simply say or think, I set the intention to connect to the blueprint for health and well-being symbol. And I invite you to close your eyes and see, sense, or feel how you're embedded in a green field of harmony and balance with an unbounded flower of life that connects you with all life. Now set the intention to step into the center of the blueprint for health and well-being symbol and ask the symbol to activate itself and to move, rotate, and spin within, around, and through you with the intention of sharing its frequencies of health and well-being with you. So you simply say or think, I set the intention to step into the center of the blueprint for health and well-being symbol. And I ask the symbol to activate itself and to move, rotate, and spin within, around, and through me with the intention of sharing its frequencies of health and well-being with me. And see, sense, or feel that against the background of a green, golden, unbounded flower of life, you are held in a green sphere of creation containing a golden Metatron's cube. 6 fiery yellow-orange tetrahedrons in the outer ring of circles are swirling and bringing energy into your physicality. Notice the icosahedron in its aquamarine color as it facilitates the flow of energy within and around you, while its white blueprint dots anchor this blueprint in your physicality and energy system. See, sense, or feel the green 7-pointed star in a fractal flowery pattern, supporting you in being natural and in tune with nature and the cosmos, which is joined by a yellow spiky 7-pointed star, forming a 14-pointed star that assists humanity in coming back to harmony and balance with nature and the cosmos. See, sense, or feel the circular pattern in an earthy color, weaving its pattern of interconnectedness, while the cube in Metatron's cube brings everything into form, bringing all the energy and frequencies contained in the blueprint for health and well-being into your body and energy field. See, sense, or feel the pyramid consciousness symbol that assists you wherever needed in a crystalline color, because your body is becoming crystalline as well. See, sense, or feel the sacred frequency symbol in the center that flows and interconnects everything while always returning to its center. Enjoy and bask in the frequencies of being natural, in the playfulness, the regeneration, the flow, harmony, and vitality. Loving the body you have allows you to experience a body informed by love. And so it is. So I thank you all for being here with me. I will leave you after this meditation, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I will post this video then on my website and YouTube channel. And yeah, and reach out to me if you have any questions, if you would like some further support. And thank you for coming and sharing this journey with me. And thank you for your comments. Thank you, so wonderful, beautiful. Yeah, I'm happy if you enjoyed it. And deep gratitude. Yeah, I'm very grateful as well. Thank you for letting me share. Let's stop the recording and say goodbye.